Welcome to the Hymon Cast, a podcast of the Hymon Settlement School, where we explore the history, culture, and people that make the Hymon Settlement School what it is today, and how this historic institution will continue to serve its mission of celebrating heritage and changing lives in Central Appalachia. I'm Corey Terry.
And I'm Jordan Collins.
And welcome to episode number 23 of the Hymon Cast. And Jordan, we have been in many different locations since the inception of the Hymon Cast, but I never thought in my wildest dreams that we would be where we are today.
I keep saying that we keep moving up, and I didn't know that we were going to be moving across the country.
Yes.
Here we are.
So we are currently in Fallbrook, California, and I've never been out here. It's a beautiful, beautiful area.
They got mountains just like we do, but it's a little different.
Yeah, just a little different. There's mountains, and then there's an ocean, and I wish we had that.
Ocean be great. Car Creek counts, right?
There is a beach there. So.
Yeah, Car Creek Beach.
And we have that. So, but we are in California this week, and we got a big journey back to Hymon. We flew out here to meet Miss Carilyn Weiss, who is our guest today, to pick up some Dulcimers that she is donating to the Hymon Settlement School, and we are driving them back all the way across the country in a Chevy Suburban.
It's going to be a road trip for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So, Carilyn, thank you so much for having us out here and for everything you're doing with these Dulcimers, and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, so
we're going to start the show like we always start the show. And
Coffee?
Tea this time, but usually we start with the origin story.
The origin story.
We want to hear how you got to where you are now and kind of your beginnings and your history, your life.
Yeah.
Well, I was born not too far from here, and my grandma was a church organist, and we just were always involved with music. My mom played the piano. It was by ear. My two sisters could read music, but I never could, and then that made me feel kind of dumb until, I could hear music that my mom would play and my dad would sing, and then Mom played the auto harp, and I could kind of pick that up. So that made me feel good. That was, I'm Always Chasing Rainbows was the one song I learned on the auto harp. But after my husband and I got married, he was taking guitar at the downtown store. And he said, "What's that instrument up on the wall?" And the owner said, "Well, that's the mountain dulcimer, America's only instrument." And so he got me one for Christmas, and it sat for a year. And then I thought, well, I do play the ukulele. I played that by ear. Maybe I'll trade it in since I already play it. And he said, well, it comes with 4 free lessons, so why don't you do that? So I started learning the way the Appalachian Mountain people played was just on the melody string, with the rest is a drone sound. And the early players played just on the melody string. Mm-hmm. But since then, it's a whole different world. It's taken off, and any type of music is available now. And I think I was very fortunate to get a Rug and Jackal, or why can't I think of the name? Rug and Jackal. So I'm drawing a blank on what type of instrument I play. But I think I was fortunate, the brand. I was fortunate to end up with a good instrument. And then Nikki, the gal who taught me the instrument, she said, if you will teach the people coming through Fallbrook, I will order another dulcimer for you, wholesale. So that's this Koa dulcimer that I got. Look it up, beautiful it is. But so then I just started playing with my mom, playing music, and Daddy would sing. He had a great voice, and my mom did too. And Bob did too, my husband. So every type of song that I could get that went with this instrument, I wanted to learn. I knew a lot of them, Go Tell Aunt Rhody and Going to Boston and some of those songs. But I wanted to learn everything back there. And then I would go to the festivals. Once a year they had a festival in San Diego, and that's when Gene Ritchie ended up coming. And I was asked to teach a class with her. And that was interesting because she played in a different tuning than I did. And she played in the traditional Ionian that's back east. And then I was doing Mixolydian, is what people on this coast did.
And what's the difference? I don't know the difference.
Just one note, really. DAD or DGD.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Yeah.
So just that middle string is tuned down one.
Yeah.
There's two Ionians. It can get really complicated, but I like the chording, the sounding of the chords in the Mixolydian, and so that's what I ended up sticking with. But it was fun to teach with Jean because she and I would play the same song, and you could hear the difference in the different tunings. And she never did chords. She never played a chord. But I've got this CD of her with all of the songs that she sang that day, and she talked about how she got into the music. And so that's it. I've just loved music my whole life. I'm in choir. I sing tenor. But
and you said Chasing Rainbows is that your favorite song to play, or is that just...
No, I don't even play that on here. That's one that I played when I was little.
Oh, gotcha.
On the auto harp.
So what is the favorite? What is the go-to song when you pick up a dulcimer or any instrument for that matter?
Well, I really like a lot of the minor sound, the church music I like very much, and Irish music. But a lot of the songs that I grew up with my mom and dad singing, I like those.
Oh, okay. So you take it kind of
Where's this? Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
You kind of hear. Where was that CD? I was going to...
Oh, it's right there, right?
No, that's the other one.
A different one?
But it kind of depends on the mood I'm in, what type of song I want to play or sing.
You know, I took up... I played guitar for, a year or two. I should probably pick it up again. But I
learned 4 chords.
That's what you need, really. you get the chorus in most songs, it? But I picked it up for a little bit, and there was always that song I would go to, like right off the bat, just feel like...
Comfy.
Yeah, that muscle memory, basically. Yeah, I was just wondering what yours might have been. So.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit. We're from Kentucky, and obviously, but
that with a real strong "ucky" on the end of that.
Kentucky. Just making sure we get that out here in the open, the accent, while we're in California. What was it like growing up here in Southern California?
Well, my dad was a farmer, and so we just grew up a nurseryman. It was second generation. Daddy was then, and then my husband ended up taking the nursery over, and then our boys did. We had cows and chickens and cats and dogs and horses. But so we would go on vacation, one vacation a year. I remember going to the Sierra Mountains, and we would have to go to our loquat tree and squeeze seeds out of the loquats, and then we would sell those for, I remember it was like $1 a pound. It was huge back then. And that's how we ended up going 2 weeks camping in the mountains.
So cool.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I don't even have anything to say. But, I mean, that's just cool. And also kind of like what you were talking about with the chickens and horses and all that. It just sounds like you have Appalachia over here. Like, you're the opposite Appalachia of us.
Yeah, it's one of the things that was like striking to me is like I never really considered like the mountainous areas here. You think California, you think the ocean,
you think L.A.,
but you come through here and you're like, oh, it's just like home. There's houses perched on the side of a mountain. And
I like Fallbrook because you have to drive here specifically to get here. It isn't, like you can't get here accidentally. Mm-hmm. And you go through the big towns like Temecula and Murrieta. Those weren't even around when I was growing up. It was nothing.
Yeah, Bob was telling me earlier that you were like basically perched up here by yourself in like when you first moved here, right? There's only 3 houses, and now, but you still got a pretty nice. I was mentioning it was kind of like an island in a way.
It is. It is.
Yeah, it's
avocado capital of the world here. Truthfully.
That's awesome. Yeah, we're sitting underneath orange trees right now, and it's just so
That's why we
It's so out of what I'm used to. I'm just like, wow.
decided to shoot outside. By the way, we're the elk capital of the Southeast. Just
No. It was the elk capital of the East, and now it's just the elk capital of Kentucky.
Oh.
So I think somebody beat us out at some point, or maybe they all migrated.
Didn't get enough elk in.
Yeah.
They've downgraded us.
Yeah. I think the sign still says of the East, but
It's fine.
I'm not sure it's true.
We'll hold the title regardless.
Yeah. But yeah. So how did you learn about the Hymon Settlement School? I'm assuming there's probably some connection to the Dulcimer, and you did some research. But tell us a little bit of how.
Well,
that
after
happened.
we went through, California, I taught at the festivals in California, and a gal by the name of Lois Hornbostel that ran classes out of Boone, North Carolina. She had a 1-week class back there. And so she came out here to teach at some of the festivals that we had. And she asked me if I would be interested in teaching some of the elective classes at her class. And I said, "Ooh, I'd like to do that." So the first time we went back there, I guess I went 2 or 3 times as a student. And then the next time I went teaching, and it was on that one in 96 that I went to Hymon. The gal that went with me said, "Why don't we go there?" That's a lot of historical part. It started there with Gene Ritchie and Jethro Ambergee and Smith. Did I get that right? So that's what I did.
Oh,
We
Sam
went back
Smith.
there.
Is that the one? Sam Smith, is that the one we was looking
No,
at there?
that was Sam Combs.
Sam
but
Combs,
the other
okay.
one, the one there's so few of.
I remember that one. My family's a Smith, so I should know this.
Can I think of that one?
Draw on the family bloodline and figure it out, Corey.
John. That's like all my grandfathers. William.
The most basic name.
That's what their names were. But,
So that's where we drove through Hymon, and it was a magical place to go to. Especially the names back there of Troublesome Creek, and we stayed in the Quiltmakers Inn and had the breakfast that came with it there free.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fellow who gave us the tour, it was a tour, he passed away, Mike Mullins.
oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Mike
Yeah,
Mullins.
that was our executive director until 2012 when he passed away.
Or-
So he gave us an entire tour and I said, "Well, where are your Dulcimers?" And he said, "Well, we don't have a lot of the Dulcimers from around this area. The early makers have all been donated to Berea." And I remember thinking that's really sad that they didn't have an Ambergee. You did have an Ambergee Dulcimer, but it wasn't Jethro's. I think it was Morris. And didn't have a Gene Ritchie, which I thought was a crime. Or Uncle Ed Thomas, that's what I was thinking. And so I thought if I ever am fortunate enough to find any of those. So that was in 1996. So how many years ago was that?
25, right? Is that? Because I was born in 97, so I'm doing the...
The math.
Yeah, I think it's 25, right? 20, 25, 24, 26.
I was trying to think
Something
how
like
many Dulcimers I had
Yeah.
then. I surely didn't have those at all. Took me 5 years to get the Gene Ritchie one. And
And we're going to see that a little bit later, right? When you go through the history part. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, so we can go ahead and talk about the history. I'm not too sure, I don't know much about the history of the Dulcimer. I know a lot of it originated in Hymon, and I'm curious, how that sort of transitioned all the way out to California. There seems to be people out here making Dulcimers. So can you kind of fill us on how the history of the Dulcimer and how it came to be? You said it was America's first or only instrument?
only instrument.
Yeah.
It was influenced by a German Scheidholt and Norwegian Langeleik and some of these other ones, but I think it is truly from that era right there, that area, that they came up with their own setup. And the Dulcimers, this is a folk roots Dulcimer, and they made them a half-inch deeper so they could be heard louder at the folk festivals, because they always ended up getting put next to the bagpipe teaching. So these guys ended up making the Dulcimers louder. And the sound of these I love. It's about the only one I play, the folk roots. Well, the tunings back east are like I say, the either DAA or DGD, I think. There's two different, and I'll probably get this wrong. But it was during that Newport Spring Festival and all of those with the restart of the folk music that Gene Ritchie was so famous for. And I think it got a whole start on the folk music, and the Dulcimer just kind of went crazy around there. Mimi Farina and her singing. Richard Farina? Well, anyway.
I'm not sure.
So Joan Baez's sister. And so he was famous for playing. She played the Dulcimer, and he did too, and they're singing. So, things start springing up, and you think, oh, I could learn that song. I could do this. And so then these festivals started. I think that was in the 80s, that was a huge thing. In the 80s, you weren't around then.
Shucks. I don't think Corey was either. What were you?
91.
91?
When I came to be.
Corey wasn't either.
So I think it's calmed down a little bit from all those years. I went 3 years teaching back to Boone, and that was in the 90s, or 96. And I've gone to some of the festivals around here, but boy, the change in the music, and they didn't have very many players then on the Dulcimer. And now it seems like everyone plays it, the Dulcimer, in a new, different tuning, songs, which is good.
Yeah. And Sarah-Kat's doing a lot to make it where more people can actually play the instrument of their home place, just to be able to pick up a Dulcimer, and be from not only Knott County but Appalachian, in general, especially Kentucky and then to pick up that instrument of your home place and play that. I feel like that's really special, and it's really important to kind of pay homage to that or homage to that part of yourself, that kind of history.
Yeah.
So
Did she grow up with
Dulcimer? She grew up in Eastern Tennessee. I think she's been playing since she was
I think
little,
her music teacher in grade school taught her how to play. So she's been playing ever since then, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, how that went. But yeah, so she plays, Sarah-Kate plays the Dulcimer on our little intro song here. And
so that was her in the beginning. Yeah. We got her.
See, I had never heard the Dulcimer played like that. Until she came, I was like, whoa, I didn't know it could do that. And I was blown away when she played that for us.
We looked at her and we said, we want something hard. We want the most metal Dulcimer you can
give us a heavy metal version of that Dulcimer.
That is the range of music that you can play on the Dulcimer. The first song I heard was a Civil War song. Why can't I think of it? And the first song I heard, it had that drone sound to it. And I thought, I have never heard an instrument that sounds like this. And that was all it took was, why can't I think of that song?
It's wild to think about, and the Dulcimer being in the Civil War, that kind of, or is it just a song that's been?
Well, it was a song from that time, but the Dulcimer was around then.
Oh, wow. I don't know. It's weird to think about the whole the drum set and the snare drum and have a Dulcimer in the mix. It's weird. It's weird to think about.
So tell us a little bit about how you got started collecting Dulcimers, and give us some stories of your adventures through the years of collecting them.
If I look back on when I started collecting, I didn't start out to collect the Dulcimers. I think I was teaching down in San Diego. And this gal was in my class, and she said, I don't have a 6.5 fret on my Dulcimer. Do you think I should take this in and have a new one put in? And I said, that's a Jethro Ambergey Dulcimer. And she goes, I don't know what that is. It was just my mom's. And I said, I'll buy that from you. I knew after going to some of these classes, the historical part, that she shouldn't change that at all. And so I think that was probably the first one that I got. And I ended up buying a Dulcimer for her to trade her. And that was number one. That was the first one. And so it just kind of went from there. Then I had good friends, the Clements, who ended up going to antique shops and running a store themselves. Okay. And she saw the Dulcimer, and she'd call me and say, we've got a funny-looking instrument here. It's called a Kansas wind harp. It's $30. Do you want to invest in it? And I said, oh, yeah. So that's, just little by little, people calling. I've had a couple of them given to me. But I have no idea where they came from. But so that's how, I started saving money from art and teaching music and then go on the internet. I would go on the internet and see if I could find something there. And at the start, you could buy a lot. But then everybody got into, during the 80s, I think the late 80s, people started going crazy on trying to find the history. And Ralph Lee Smith was really influential in that and his articles on the Dulcimer Player News.
It sounds like you're just like this, like you're just making homes for these Dulcimers, like the thing you told me about the is it 6 fret, half fret?
6.5 fret.
6.5 fret. Just like that girl was just going to go and add another fret, which would ruin the value of that Dulcimer. And I feel like you were just like, I want to save all these Dulcimers from having that extra fret put in them, or like these alterations. And I think that's cool. It's like,
I was lucky to have that big wall in there in the house.
Oh yeah.
Because where else? I mean, they're under the beds. They're
right in a closet.
Yep.
Being stacked on top of. It's just like kind of like the savior Dulcimers over here.
Yeah.
I know, and they're all stacked up in there, and I thought, oh dear. But I'm very happy they're going to Hymon.
Yeah.
Oh, the one I had to chase down. Well, there were two I had to chase down. One was a Gene Ritchie Dulcimer, this one right here. And that came from an artist up in Washington, I think Washington. And she did not want to sell that at all. But she wanted to play it. But it didn't have, it doesn't have the 6.5 fret on that. So it's hard to play the Irish. A lot of the Irish stuff you can't play. So I think it was 5 years of pestering her. I bought her one. Bought her a Dulcimer, and she got to pick out the wood she wanted and the sound. And I can throw in a case and
sweeten the deal.
Yeah. So that was nice. I told her, a lot of this is prefaced with, if you end up letting me have this, it's going to go to a collection. So that always helped, having your name there.
Yeah.
The last one I worked with that took me, I think it was 5 or 6 years to get, was the Thomas Dulcimer. And I know how rare they are. They're in the Smithsonian. And I don't think I'd ever seen one. I had not seen one until I heard about this one. And it was weird how that happened. The gal ended up being an artist that owned it. So we talked a lot about music, but it was only because it was written up in the Dulcimer Player News. Margaret MacArthur was the performer, the Dulcimer performer, and she ended up passing away. And they had an obituary written in the Dulcimer Player News, and it told the history of how when she performed in Chicago that she would always borrow an original Thomas Dulcimer. And I thought, God, I wonder where it is now, if she's passed away. So I got in touch with her husband. I had to track that phone number down. And he said, no, I don't have it anymore. It's back with this Sandra Simonson. So I thought, God, I wonder what she's doing with it. So really, I tracked her down. It just took forever going from one thing to the next. And she said, well, it's not in Chicago with me. It's back east, and a friend of mine has it in a closet with a blanket wrapped around it. And I don't know if I want to part with it. But then she found out the kicker is that her son is very autistic. And I told her about the autism program, the reading program that you've got at Hymon. And that's what did it. She said, let me look at it and see if I want to sell that to you. And I told her same thing. I'll buy you a dulcimer and a hard shell case, and your son can use that. And I think it was years of me pestering her. In fact, I thought she had forgotten about it. It was during like a Thanksgiving, Christmas type get together, and I thought, oh shoot, well, I'll just try one more time. Mm-hmm. And during the holidays, she had forgotten about it. She says, no, I've changed my mind. And I wrote this article on the Thomas Dulcimer, and that had been 15 years, I think, since 15 or 16 years. And I, just for kicks, I tried her phone number last month.
Oh, yeah.
And she's in a rest home now. She's moved, but I sent her the article I wrote and the pictures, and she said her son is very happy with the Dulcimer.
That's great.
And so that was the hardest one I tracked down.
Seems like you
got to be very persistent.
Yeah, it was like a bulldog.
So what is the oldest dulcimer that you have?
I've got one from 1840. I've got Civil War. And there are a couple that are undated, but because of the short frets, you can kind of put the date on them. Probably 150 years old. A couple that are really primitive.
Wow. Is that the same one that was next to the snare drum on the march?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so we are out here to pick up these dulcimers and bring them back to their homeland, I guess you could say. So could you kind of tell us what made you to eventually decide to donate these dulcimers to Hymon? I know you had probably many different options and many places to send them to, but why Hymon?
Ralph Lee Smith, who is the number one authority, I think, historian. I mean, has he written 7, 8 books over all the years? And I met him at Boone, and he was instrumental in helping me pick out the ones to collect. Mm. And the first year that I went was the same year that I went to Hymon. They had a gathering of all the dulcimer players, the old dulcimer players, and interviewed them on how they got their pattern and how long they had played for. And it was great having Homer Ledford and Ed Presnell and all of these people that were makers. And so afterwards I said, where do you think, Ralph Lee, where do you think I should donate these? I was thinking about Hymon. And he said, well, I don't know. You want to get an area that's they're going to be seen the most. Well, I said at Berea, they've just got one area, but it just doesn't seem real comfy. I think that's what it was. Is it not that you guys are? It's hard to explain. It's like you've got a little settlement there, a little home for all these places, and knowing that they could get people that went to school there could end up getting free education as long as they came back and worked for 3 years. That's how Gene Ritchie, Jethro Ambergy, all of the early makers, that's what they ended up getting was their education. And if they came back, and then they ended up teaching dulcimer making there. Mm. And the fact now that you've got a dulcimer.
I think she says she's not, but I'm pretty sure she's a national champion. Like, I think she won that, like some kind of contest
she
or
did.
something. Oh, you know for sure? Yeah. She said she did it like on an off year of someone she knew was real good, but Sarah Kate's good.
Just got to be humble about it.
She is. That was we almost went there, in Kansas. Winfield.
Oh. Yeah, so.
Middle of nowhere.
Now I'm going to bring it back to Sarah Kate and be like, see, I told you won. Like, that's kind of what she opened with not opened with, but like, upon getting to know her, she's.
Yeah, there's several that are really unique. One I got from Pond Creek, Oklahoma, and it's amazing on the internet. I typed the maker's name in, And he lived there, made the Dulcimer, ended up dying there. You can see the plot where he's buried in Pond Creek, Oklahoma. But he's got these cutouts of pheasants all over him, pictures of pheasants. He must have been a hunter. And the sound holes are different in that one, too. It's 3 sound holes instead of the original heart. Got a series of 3. But Hymon just kept coming back to me where I could have all of the people that had gone to school there. I mean, they didn't go to school in Berea. They didn't go to Smithsonian. And I think Berea's going to be, I think Hyman's going to be the up-and-coming area to go to get that historical feel and see all of these instruments.
I'd like to think so. I mean, Berea's nice and all, but it's no Hymon.
No.
No Hymon.
No.
I think Berea's really turned more into like a college town at this point. They've got, Berea College there, and, I mean, we got Alice Lloyd, but Alice Lloyd's kind of like up in Hippopasses, and we're right in downtown. We got that kind of historical vibe going on. And
How far are you from Hippopasses?
10 minutes probably.
Because I went there. That was that one Dulcimer that has a little heart there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That you picked up.
And whenever you went to the Blackie, and you had to go up that,
Up that hill.
crazy hill, was that to get a Dulcimer, or was that was to meet somebody that makes
That was to
Dulcimer?
meet the man that taught there at Hippopasses.
Oh,
Alice
okay, yeah,
Lloyd.
yeah.
That's like almost like a legendary mystic story. It's like you had to travel to the top of a mountain to get
Whitaker,
teachings.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I guess, I mean, you probably have some pretty crazy roads here up mountains, but was that just like...
It was just like straight up, like what we had when we'd go up to some of the nursery lands, that we had one at our ranch that was going, oh my gosh. In fact, we called it Clyde Hill because our dog was in this truck and the brake went off and he rode it all the way down to the bottom. But this was scary straight up in Blackie.
Oh, yeah. We got a couple of those.
But his wife, I called, it was the same type of thing. I called her and told her I was writing a story on her husband. He had passed away about 8 years ago. Mm-hmm. But that was interesting, too. We stayed the afternoon with him and had tea, and she showed me all of her wonderful baskets that she made, his wife.
That sounds like a
Didn't
symbol.
Ed Thomas also make baskets, too?
Did Ed?
I feel like I saw pictures. Maybe I'm just thinking of somebody else that was making baskets, but it seems like he also made baskets.
I have no idea. I know you're looking at me for confirmation, and it's not coming from over here.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But that kind of story you told about the tea and like it's kind of what you have us set up here. Instead of baskets, you're showing us Dulcimers and like.
Yeah.
Well, Blackie, when we went to Blackie, I always was taking pictures. I've got the picture in there that I took of the store in Blackie. And it had homemade honey and curd jars and sweet potatoes, and I love all that stuff.
I mean, we got a local honey maker in Hymon. Is it Emily, right? Is that?
Well, she lives in Viper, not too far from Blackie.
Oh, it's basically.
Yeah.
I mean, it's our people, regardless.
Yeah.
But her honey is delicious. That's a free plug for you, Emily, by the way.
Yeah.
It's a Windy
Hills. Coffee and honey.
And tea.
And tea.
She's got the trifecta.
Yeah. Got everything you need to have a good cup of tea and coffee.
All about it.
Yeah, so I just find it so interesting how, this instrument that's very, instrumental to the Hymon area and eastern Kentucky, and just the connections that are just all across the country, and how now here in 2021 it's brought us here to California to have a conversation and to pick up these Dulcimers and bring them back. It's an interesting story. It's very interesting.
There's no way that you would feel like Hymon has really any connection to California.
Yeah.
But here we are. Hymon is in California. Our history is here.
It was comfy. Hymon was very comfy to go to.
We were talking on the way here. It was like, California, this area is like, this is what sets the trends for the rest of it. And it just disseminates back to Hymon eventually. 20 years later, we finally pick up on it probably. But, the Dulcimer we kind of started that trend.
I feel like we start all the trends. It's just that we're behind on them, or we're so far ahead, no one gets it.
Yeah.
Then it comes out here, then it comes back, and then it's cool. But
Yeah, that's it.
I think we're trendy before trendy. we're the trend starters.
Yeah.
That's just me being an advocate.
It's probably true.
Not hardly.
So what legacy do you hope that this collection of Dulcimers and Hymon leaves for all collectors of Dulcimers and lovers of this kind of music?
I think it's important to be able to actually see the original, to see a Thomas Dulcimer. I remember, I don't want to go to the Smithsonian to see it. I want to go to the area where it came from to see it. And so I think that's what you've got there. All of the people like Gene Ritchie, the Ritchie family, and there's probably Dulcimers I've got there that I don't even know that went through Hymon. But to be able to go in a smaller area and see a bigger collection, I think will say a lot.
To kind of see it in its homeland and kind of get that feeling of.
They're going to be purring. The Dulcimers are going to be purring. I know it.
We'll be listening.
Finally home. We're home. That's good. All right. Well, I think it is lunchtime for us. Josh is back, and
Aren't we going to do the.
what? I mean, we didn't make any questions.
Oh, I thought that's what those were.
No, that's from the last time.
We can ask them
You
again.
do the
right?
ricochet.
Yeah.
Like that.
Oh, it's for our lightning round. I just do a very subpar lightning sound. Here we go. I worked real hard to get that on the soundboard.
Yeah, lightning round.
Lightning round.
All right, Jordan, start us off. So
All right.
we're recycling these questions from episode 22, but
We'll say them in reverse, so it's different.
yeah, you
Um,
don't want to do that.
Oh, yeah. Then don't start with the last one, right? So, or the or the fourth one. These were very specific.
These
I'm
are very
finding.
specific to Marianne. Well, okay, we'll start off the first one. So we just had Thanksgiving. Literally, wait, what is today?
Today's Saturday.
2 days ago. What was your favorite Thanksgiving dish?
Me.
Yeah.
This was crazy. We really didn't have Thanksgiving except from a
Oh.
restaurant. But it was outstanding. The Cafe, which we're going to tonight. But with me just getting over this surgery, and Bob's been doing so much extra work, we had a great Thanksgiving dinner. It was good. My favorite part always, and always will be, is mashed potatoes and gravy, by far.
That's a solid choice. Lumpy or smooth?
Smooth. And
that's where we
teaching
differ.
art, I would ask the kids, what is your favorite? And probably 85% of the kids say mashed potatoes and gravy.
I'm a cranberry sauce fan. I'll die on that hill with the cranberry sauce.
So we made, or the settlement school made, we had a little staff Thanksgiving dinner, and they made a hominy green chili casserole.
Ooh.
And we made it for ours, and it rocked my world. Like, I ate
Oh,
the
I
whole
need that
pan.
recipe.
It was so good.
I need the recipe.
I have it on my phone, I think, so
Okay.
I can get that to you.
No, let me say,
It was really good.
I went up to Kat's family for Thanksgiving up in Louisville. Sherry Coatley's yams. Oh my God,
Shout
that
out
was
to
the
Sherry Coatley.
best. I hope she's listening. This is for you, Sherry. But God, those yams. I talked to Kat about those all the way home. God, they were so good.
Yeah.
We need that recipe, too.
Yeah.
I don't know if she'd give that one up.
Yeah. I made a sweet potato casserole. That was good. Pretty good.
This was marshmallows right on the yams. I thought up a lightning round question. You ready for it?
Yeah.
So you've grown up on a farm, right? You have a lot of exposure to all these fresh fruits and vegetables, especially being in California. What's your favorite out of all of them?
The oranges I love, but since I've gotten older, they're not so great on my stomach.
Uh-huh.
But I would die with an avocado.
Okay.
These avocados that we have are so good. And in the morning, to have a rice cake, which sounds ridiculous, and butter, avocado, and a little bit of salsa.
I could get behind that.
And then you can have coffee, and then you wake up with ready to go.
Like the rice cake's just a little bit of crunch, right? It's just
Yeah,
the vessel.
So good.
It's the vessel, right, for the
Yeah,
avocado.
so, like the avocado toast.
Yeah.
That probably originated here.
Yeah. Were you the trendsetter for the avocado toast?
Avocado, I loved it. Except when we were little, I think we were very poor. And we would get to school. I've got a twin, And our sandwiches by then were about an 18th of an inch thick and black. Avocados had sat all day long.
Oh.
Not my favorite. So when I got older, I liked them. I ate them fresh instead of after 5 hours in the heat.
Yeah, I don't know that I mean, I don't know that I've really had a fresh avocado before.
No.
Like, never.
I've never.
Getting ready to have some right
They're
now.
I'm
either
very
really,
excited.
really hard, like hard as a rock, and you have to wait 2 weeks before you can eat it, or,
I mean,
they're
like,
too mushy.
I don't know what the etiquette is for them.
I don't
mean,
either.
like, I know that they get to the store, and that my assumption is you eat them then. But I don't know that what the rightness is. I just don't know. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's a little bit soft.
yeah. I was like, my wife taught me to pick out the good ones because she's very particular. It's like,
And you can
little-
get it over the hill, and then you might as well throw it away. I told the president of the American Farm Bureau that they were perfect when they were about like your muscle in your arm, and then I felt my muscle afterwards, and I went, oh my gosh, it's going to be rotten by then. So I had to go correct it.
So it's a little soft, right? Like,
Soft.
a little soft.
yeah, just a little soft.
Now I'm coming back to Hymon with all this knowledge. About
But once it gets
avocados.
soft, I think it's pretty. It can go south real
Over the
quick.
hill, real fast.
I think that's what. Yeah, I think that's where I was at.
Yeah,
But I'm big excited, so excited.
yeah, I'm pumped.
It's for they set us up. They're gonna make us the fresh guacamole, and
He makes
I'm-
good guacamole.
I am very much prepared for this day.
So the next lightning round question is: if you could travel through time, which era would you travel to?
Does that have to do with the Dulcimer?
No, just in
Or-
general. But I figure your answer might have a Dulcimer
Yeah.
kick to it.
I'll tweak Corey's question. I want to know both. I want to know the Dulcimer time and your personal time.
Well, let's see. You know what? We grew up on a farm. It was so magic. It really was. Daddy sold avocados and fruit to Calavo, so we would get these hundreds of boxes of Calavo boxes dropped off on our ranch.
What's a Calavo?
Calavo boxes, California avocado. But the
Oh,
boxes were about this long, a yard long by 2 feet, by about 12 inches deep. They were so sturdy, we made like forts, palaces, 2 and 3 stories of, we would just make these forts that were unbelievable.
sounds so
Then
cool.
we would sell lemonade. We would pick fruit and sell it to our neighbors who felt like they had to buy from us. And one year, my twin and I ended up picking all of these oranges that were very, very experimental and used at, they were used at the university to study seeds. And they were worth a fortune. And my dad came home that night and he said, oh my gosh, where are the oranges from that? And I said, we had to go get the oranges back that we had sold. But I loved that would be the late 50s, so I would be like 12, 14 years old. That was like a magic era to me. I don't know why.
I could imagine building palaces out of crates.
Oh my
and
gosh.
I mean,
Yeah, we just spend the day down there.
I think I also want to go back to the 1950s, that exact time on that farm.
I
That's me.
love it. And then we had Vista, we had Osborne Street and Barsby Street, parallel streets, and we had our own baseball team. So we had people that would come over and challenge, and it would always be at the bottom of our hill where we had third base, first base, homemade. So that was fun. I loved that. I loved all my eras. I really do. I think people have a much harder time now with everything that's going on in the world and all of the setup. Like, I mean, we had a party phone growing up. I tell my grandkids we didn't have air conditioning in the cars. We didn't have TV. I mean, I was, what were we, 12, 14? We had TV, so it's so strange now. You had to actually get up and turn on the TV.
I still have to do that as I don't have my remote's broke.
I think that's
Never
the
got fixed.
moment I would not watch TV. it's
And the 60s, I like the 60s, going to school and meeting my husband and getting married, and so it's been 52 years we've been married.
Wow.
So that's great. And as far as Dulcimer, I think I got interested in it at the perfect time. My kids were older. I can remember them saying, "Could you go in the other room, please? I am so sick of hearing Go Tell Aunt Rhody. Please, can you come up with another song?" I really worked at learning the Dulcimer. You know, it wasn't as easy as some people when they start out playing, but I was pretty much driven to learn it.
So I'm curious, speaking of the 50s, that's when Disneyland began, wasn't it?
Yep.
So I'm curious of what the perspective is on Disneyland here. You grew up during the time of that.
Real quick, when Corey asked that question, he looked directly at Josh.
Yes, because I know Josh is sitting right behind the camera, so I'm like looking right at the camera, but yeah, he is the Disney master over there. So
I've got a Disneyland coupon book for you if you'd like. The D tickets, the A tickets, yes, I remember going the first couple years at Disneyland opened.
Oh, wow.
Gosh. And one of the ticket books was lost. I remember that. My dad going crazy.
Now, just out of curiosity, how much did it cost to go to Disney World? Just like when it first opened.
Disneyland?
Yeah, Disneyland, yeah.
It was pretty expensive then for what we did as far as entertainment. I mean, our entertainment was picking loquat seeds and going to the mountains. That was a huge thing. I think that was the only vacation that Daddy took during the year. So we did a lot of home projects at home. But I'm trying to think. I think it was $12.50 for a book of rides. You got the A ticket, A, B, C, D, E. And I think it was the E ticket was the Matterhorn, and was the Matterhorn then there? Yes. So we went there for our high school graduation.
I keep looking over at Josh for confirmation. He's like, yes, the Matterhorn was there.
Awesome. So it sounds like it was kind of like more of like a traditional, like you go to a carnival and you get tickets for a certain ride. Was it more like that? Like now you just buy a ticket and you get a fast pass and just go get whatever you want.
You got Mr. Lincoln. Mr. Lincoln was an A ticket. Or Progress Carousel was an A ticket. And then Toad's Wild Ride, those would be a C ticket. And a D was a pretty good ticket, but the E was the most expensive ones.
Huh.
Yeah, we're going to get an earful.
Yeah, it's going to instruct us.
I will. I'm going to go back and get I've got those coupon books back there. What do you do?
Josh is pumped now.
He's giddy. Like, I've been to his house, and he's got the retro Disney maps, and like, that's his aesthetic.
He's got an Etsy business of selling like Disney stuff.
The year I graduated from high school, that I think was the first year that everybody in this area went up there for high school graduation. They closed it down, and the gal that they gave away a car that night, you got a Mustang. Shirley Otis got the Mustang, and she couldn't drive. She had epilepsy. And I thought, out of all the people that could have gotten that, that's okay. She made some money off of that.
Yeah, that's cool. I wish my high school graduation would have looked like that. We went to I think we went to Universal for graduation. Like, they closed down the park, but it was like a lot of other schools. Was it just like your school? Or
no, it was I think San Diego County.
Okay. Yeah, I think we had like people from all over the country. It was like so many different people, but it was like all like high school age kids. So it was like going in the park for a day. It was kind of nice.
I think we had the Supremes sang that night. I mean, it was a big deal.
The what?
The Supremes.
What?
Motown.
Oh, gotcha. That's
fun. Wow, that does sound like a magical time. That era to go back to.
I'm envious.
As far as the music, I think I learned at the perfect time. I have talked to the gal that taught me, and we've decided that was the best time to start the Dulcimer was in the 80s.
Ooh.
I do that a lot.
I wouldn't have noticed.
It sounds great to me.
Thank you. All right, so I would play maybe one called, how do you get
You can
this
take the
song?
headphones off if you want.
That would be good.
Yeah. We won't make it too complicated.
I will play, I was going to do The Water is Wide, but then I'd have to sing it. Let's see. Okay, this is called When He Cometh. So thank you. I was trying to think of the first song I heard that made me want to play, and I think it was, I can play it, but I can't think of the name. I'm not doing so good on this one. So that's
I like that.
That's interesting. I was watching your hands. I've never seen like somebody use like the side of their thumb.
the side of
playing.
their thumb.
Yeah.
Well, they have sticks. They used to call them a noter, what the mountain people would play with. And but I had a harder time holding that. Yeah, the sound of the dulcimer is just really great. Do you have a? I was trying to learn a Beatles song. You can do so many things on this, but with my hands the way they are, it's going to get better.
What was the Beatles song?
I will. Let's see if I can do. You'll get the start of it. Do you know that?
It sounds familiar. Like I
Yeah.
got it on that kind of drop there. Like that kind of it went down a bit. But.
Well, one time I could play that. I'll get it'll. It's gonna come back to me. I know.
And we'll ask Sarah Kate about the one in the middle song, and we'll see what she says.
The what?
We'll see what she thinks that song is, and we'll put it in the show notes so we can just.
Which one? The second one? The
This-
one I learned?
Yeah.
That is, it isn't Southern Soldier Boy, but it's that was the first one I heard. I know right where I was in Fallbrook when I heard it. Oh my gosh! And it happened to be the gal that owned the music store. So I'll tell you what. I'll see if I can play one that my mom and my grandparents played. Not on the dulcimer. But Mom got to where she was a pretty good dulcimer player. This one, my grandpa would sing, and it's called Believe Me If All Those Endearing Young Charms. Look, can you see the hawk?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Believe me if all those endearing young charms. And Grandpa had some extra words with this, and Grandma used to say, "Oh, Arthur." Okay. Más o menos.
Más o menos.
More or
That's
less.
that's one of the few things I remember from Spanish class.
Más o menos.
Yeah.
I can order things in a restaurant. I don't have any conversation.
No. Well, we thank you so much for the time you've spent with us today on the podcast and for donating this collection of lovely dulcimers that you have collected through the years. And I'm sure it's not an easy thing to part with after collecting them all these years.
It's a good part. It's a good part. And I know they're going to be on the walls talking like at night, like, oh, you're from Vico? Did you say
Yeah, Vico.
I mean,
that'll be fun.
I also I want to personally, I've never been out this far west. I've never been on a plane, and I want to thank you for like giving me the opportunity to do
Oh,
that.
I'm
for
so
sure.
pleased that you came.
Yeah.
I mean, this is magic. I mean, I don't even.
Oh yeah, it reminds me. Jordan found a little souvenir on the street.
We won't bring that.
Oh no, we got to now.
Okay. So I found this chain just on the street, like on the ground,
He's so happy.
just in
about
the
it.
middle of the street.
Really?
Yeah.
And now
I
he's
just I got up this morning at like 6 o'clock because I don't know what time it is here, and just walked down the street and I just took a random path and there's a chain right there in the street and I'm like, well, it was meant to be. So
Whoa.
yeah, so I don't even.
he's living the dream.
Yeah,
well, you were talking about lightning. 3 weeks ago, lightning hit our neighbors,
Oh wow.
knocked out the pool and their chimney. And I was playing Dulcimer right here, and I thought a bomb had gone off. I've never had anything that frightening.
We-
Lightning.
we used to have horses and up on the hill once. I think we were just clearing brush or something, and this lightning bolt was like probably, I don't know, 40 yards away, and it was like it was just solid like blue white, and it just blew this tree to pieces, and it's the loudest sound you'll hear. Like it
That
is
was-
like a bomb.
Yeah, I really thought it was.
But yeah, we're gonna
Yeah.
put a pin in it.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're gonna get some dulcimers packed up and be on our way back to Hymon soon. So once again, we just thank you so much for everything, and thank you everyone for tuning into this episode of the Hymon Cast. And my name's Corey Terry,
And I'm Jordan Collins.
and we'll see you next time.
The Hymon Cast is brought to you by the faithful and generous supporters of the Hymon Settlement School. For over 100 years, we've been celebrating heritage and changing lives in Central Appalachia. If you're interested in supporting the work of Hymon Settlement School, you can go to our website at www.hymon.org, or you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at the handle @Hymon School.